At the present time, we have many names around this industry, usually a snappy phrase of 3 words, generally but not always with the word quality as one of the 3. It's essential that we brand all of these schemes under the overall Quality Through People name.
Hello, a new year and a new aim, even though the quest for excellence continues. That was Brian Birdsall you just heard, by the way, BR's new Director of Quality, who was speaking at a recent conference. More of that later, but in the meantime, what else have we got in this edition of the programme? Avril.
Well, how about this? And I quote, "We should be aiming for a standard of cleanliness similar to that which we would expect to find in our own living rooms at home." How are we going to achieve that? Find out in a moment.
Well, I'll be describing some of the entries in our mystery prize competition and letting you know the winner.
While I'll be discovering how Longsight is reaching new heights, literally.
We'll also be going on the buses and around our depots nationwide. All this and more in this edition of Traincare.
That quotation I read just now came from a booklet written by the director of Intercity, Dr. John Prideaux. It's a comprehensive document detailing just what needs to be done to keep a set in tip-top shape. And that's the point. HSTs are always in sets. They're not split up into individual vehicles. And the set that stays together is cleaned together, refurbished together. So why not extend that concept beyond HSTs to all intercity trains? Why not indeed? And that was John Bladen's thought as well.
The main problem is the discipline and culture, in that the West Coast Main Line is mainly an electric loco-hauled railway where all the vehicles are mixed up, and very rarely do depots see the same vehicle on 2 nights running. Therefore, you do not get the sort of pride, you can't get maintenance continuity, and little jobs that require doing to keep passenger care correct are not seen to.
What are the other advantages of fixed train sets?
Well, the main advantage is to instill the discipline to keep the set together, so that depots don't split sets each night in order to achieve repairs, and where possible vehicles are not knocked out during service operation. Hence, overnight repairs are carried out and we leave the rest of the set alone. There is a continuity in cleaning, continuity in maintenance, and such things as jumpers are not parted, therefore causing unreliability and other problems.
So how do you go about getting the sets in the right configuration?
Well, that is a one-off job to start the system off in May, and is a very difficult job, which we've got to achieve in that very short time between now and the new May timetable. We are using the new controller crew, we are talking to depot managers, and we're trying to build a team throughout the whole of the route so that vehicles can be got together in their stand-down period and swapped over. And it's a matter of physically shunting them.
So what's this going to mean to the customer, John?
Well, I hope, if we can get our discipline and our culture right, that it will mean more reliable trains, safer trains, and cleaner and more sparkling trains in line with Dr. Prideaux's document.
Well, now to that conference I mentioned at the beginning of the programme. It wasn't just BR who were involved, but Danish railways as well, continuing a tradition of cooperation that's been growing for some years now. It was held over 2 days at the National Motorcycle Museum close by the NEC in Birmingham. The delegates came from all over Britain and, of course, from Denmark, with a party from as far away as Japan, here to find out about the European ways of running a railroad. The whole conference was, in one way or another, dedicated to one thing: quality. And a wide variety of speakers constantly stressed that quality must come first. Its importance was paramount for staff and customer alike.
The concept of total quality
is about the hardware, the stations and trains, and the software is our people and the way the service is delivered. We remind ourselves that nearly 70% of our costs are people costs, and it's people we serve.
Now let's be clear that when I talk about quality, I'm talking about what the customer wants. And what the customer wants is, well, obviously a reasonable price for what he buys, but on top of that, he wants and needs products and services which work reliably, consistently, dependably, predictably, uniformly.
Recently, British Rail and DSB have adopted policies which will lead to total quality management. This has meant for the maintenance engineer that he has to ensure that engineering, management, supervisory and administration systems are in place which permit quality work output to be achieved at depots to defined standards.
So, customer service training does seem to work. It doesn't cost a lot, but it does cost a vast amount of effort and a tremendous amount of cultural change, which I think we are all committed to in all industries. And I think the big change since we last spoke is that we do now see ourselves as a small circle and as a very big circle around us, which is the quality through people exercise.
We're embarking on what we hope will be, and believe will be, a major change in the culture. It will open up huge opportunities, but it will pose many threats, not least to senior management. With a new approach to leadership and armed with new quality skills, I believe we'll set free an army of quality champions.
Some sort of headlines for the quality handbook, say what is our basis for quality.
After the main presentations were over, the conference split into smaller groups for a series of workshops and seminars, some serious, some not so serious.
And that's the start of our day. Do you like it?
Yes, so nice.
I do, I think it's great. After all, I wrote it.
We use a new firm of consultants in Traincare who brought a fresh approach and added professional ideas aimed at sharpening the response to the Traincare campaign.
The concept behind this very programme was also explained to the delegates.
The results of Traincare, not necessarily is it very easy to measure the environmental interior quality of a railway carriage.
In fact, a great deal of video programming was used to make points about customer service and the raising of standards, with the discussion always coming back to that one principle, quality. Concern about quality was reflected in all of the entries in our Mystery Prize competition. It really was a pleasure to find that so many of you were so keen to improve our service and care for our trains. We haven't time, I'm afraid, to tell you all about all the entries or even mention all the entrants, but the suggestions ranged from new-style seat covers to more litter bins, from rear-view mirrors for spotting vandals to reducing the costs of hiring skips in depots. The winner, however, by no more than a nose, was Christopher Hulse for his idea for auto marker lights. Our thanks to everyone. We hope to run a further competition later in the year, so get, or rather keep, your thinking caps on. Avril.
Well, someone clearly had their thinking cap on when they wondered how to clean and maintain the parts of vehicles that other methods couldn't reach. After all, how do you get at, for example, the air conditioning units on a roof without a great deal of clambering about, positioning of ladders and so on? The answer? You provide these. They're called Wise Lifts, and they rise up to 18 foot, and they can move sideways across a roof for easier access. Stuart Clough has been using one of these access platforms for some time now.
Well, it's fairly easy, really. It's just you have to take a simple test, like it's only a 5-minute test, and it takes about 5-10 minutes to get used to it. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. It makes access up and down, and saves like carrying ladders and carrying thrusters and things like that. But we usually do block tube evaporators on the air conditioning system, and we also do number 9, which is also the same sort of thing. When the evaporator isn't blocked, it's just done a regular maintenance interval.
Well, now to our roundup of news items from the depots not featuring in our main stories. And first, congratulations are in order for the Tyseley men who did their bit for children in need last November. Dressed as convicts, was this a rerun of the Great Train Robbery, perhaps? The men spent days travelling throughout the network, collecting money on trains, in stations and in offices, raising the grand total of £3,250. They may even have qualified for an entry in the Guinness Book of Records, given the mileage they put in, and in their own time too. And they plan to do it all again this year, but on an even wider basis. So wherever you are, if you want to get involved, and why shouldn't you, then contact Ray Rollins on 021 643 4444, extension 2809. Meanwhile, at Wembley, an improved service for the staff. You'll remember, I'm sure, that we showed you in an earlier programme the state of the depot mess room, and quite a mess it was too. Anyway, now it's all very different, and having spent more than £200,000, a bright, clean and colourful environment has been created that has given a great morale boost to Wembley's 350-strong staff. In Newsdesk in our last programme, we mentioned that an extended course for cleaners had been introduced by Bob Medlock at Longsight. Well, we thought we ought to find out more, so we sent our camera team to observe a typical course in action.
I'm one of the supervisors from Longsight, a group of 5 who you'll be working with. Now, I hope you've all going to be happy at British Rail, especially at Longsight. Now, this morning, one of the clerks spoke to you about...
Day 1 of 15. For the next 3 weeks, these men and women will be getting a unique training course in all aspects of cleaning, the running of a depot and safety. After all, and I quote again, for so long carriage cleaning was the Aunt Sally of the railway. But today, it's a fundamental part of the quality, there's that word again, we offer the customer. Ken Wilson is one of the supervisors of the course.
Now, it's important that you fill these in.
The first day is down at Piccadilly Station in the tower block, going through the basics of what we need to know as regards sickness and things like that, and what the staff need to know, telephone numbers and such. Then on day 2, we fetch them to Longsight. We take them to a classroom and show them the different chemicals, i.e. speed clean and disinfectant, DP20, toilet cleaner and so on. Then we talk through a thorough clean, what's needed and how it's done.
So put it down the basin, squirting it around. Dead easy. You can leave it on. The longer you leave it on, the more it'll work into.
Again, when you want to cross, then we go around the depot, showing them the geography of the depot, so they know where to go if we send them somewhere, and at the same time showing the aspects of safety, what's got to be taken into consideration. Then we go into a train and thorough clean. On a thorough clean, all windows, ledges, racks, tabletops, ashtrays, seat covers are wiped down and rubbed. The floors are swept and mopped, and the toilets are given a good going over, replenished with toilet roll and soap and the blue towels. And the ends of the corridors are all washed down from ceiling height to the floor. Then we go on to day 3, which is heavy cleaning. The staff are given these coaches and directed through the types of chemicals they need, i.e. grime shifter and stuff like that. And they're having a bash at cleaning and tips of when to do things and when not to do things. Day 4, we show them jobs like outside washing and tanking the vehicles so there's enough water in the toilets for the passengers, and soap and toweling, making sure everything's right. Put the final touches to the product. Day 5, we go to a classroom and take each individual by themselves and give them a list of about 21 questions. They can either do it verbally or written. Now, most people go for the verbal type question, and once they've done that, I sign a book to say that they're competent in the rules and regs for that job. And then we go into week 2, where we have a senior rail in charge of this team to show them how teamwork works on nights, Now, teamwork is a group of people that do everything on that particular train. Soap and toweling, hoovering, washing the walls down, and so on. Week 3, it's where we do heavy cleaning only. Now, then they come on afternoons and do heavy cleaning for the solid week.
So how will a course like this benefit the customer?
At the end of the day, it gives a better product because all the cleaners will be using the same types of chemicals on the same coaches, doing the same job. And overall, the standard of cleaning and presentation to the public and the customer should improve.
No, this isn't a new kind of carriage that's being sprung onto an unsuspecting workforce. It is, of course, a double-decker bus. Why? Well, we thought it might be interesting to take a short look at how a bus fleet is maintained. Bill Pinnington is the mechanical foreman at the Hyde Road Depot in Manchester. Bill, how many vehicles have you got spread over what size area?
We have about 2,000 vehicles spread over about 500 square miles, and that takes in 13 locations from the 4 points of the compass.
What are the main problems that you get?
Graffiti, vandalism, chewing gum, chip papers, the things that I think we see every day on all forms of passenger transport.
How do you combat those problems?
We have a 3-man team. As the vehicle pulls up onto the fuel pumps, it's fueled up, and as it's finished, he goes and washes the fuel necks off, any other parts of the bus that have got oil marks on them, and goes to the back of the vehicle, checks the oil, the water, and then washes the back of the vehicle off, ready for it to go through the vehicle washing. While this process is happening, there's another 2 men inside the vehicle who are taking all the large debris off, and 1 man then vacuuming the dust. It's then driven away and put through the bus wash. We also have what we call an interior clean, which is on a 6-weekly cycle. It comes in, it's taken off the road for the day, and all the interior panels are washed down, the seats are taken out, and all the heater boxes are cleaned so that the bus is completely fresh for going out in the evening.
Well, you've seen how they're coping here on the buses. What do you reckon? Do they have it easier than on the trains?
Basically, I think the buses themselves are a lot easier to clean than the coaches, certainly from the cleaner's point of view.
It's a lot easier to clean the ceilings, you know, to reach them. You don't have to stand on the chairs or anything like that. And the windows, easier to get to. And under the seats, easy access.
We do far more work to clean a train than you would do to clean a bus.
I think the way that our cleaners clean the trains and the way that the train is a lot more intensive than, say, on the buses. And also, there's not as much varied chemicals as we've got on the railway.
I found that we do on the trains a lot more work than on the buses.
So, all in all, has today been useful?
Yeah, I think speaking for the group as a whole, it's been interesting to see the ways other forms of transport within the Greater Manchester PTA do clean the vehicles. Yeah, that's been very interesting, yeah.
Thank you all very much. Well, I hope that side trip has been an interesting one. Perhaps next time we'll see how another rail system copes, or indeed an airline. But that's all from me now, so goodbye, and it's back to Richard in the studio.
And that, I'm afraid, is all we have time for in this edition of the programme. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, keep caring, and remember, it's quality that counts. Bye-bye.